which is like selecting those edges, going MS, and that way I can open up little gaps. And another essence to good looking models is to have good control over your edges, like over your gaps. If you always use the same value for this kind of stuff with similar objects, and if you have a feeling for how far these gaps should be, then your model will look a lot better. So let's go back to polygon mode, and now I can show you something really great. And this is that the big polygons are still selected and the gaps are not. And this is only because I had the polygons selected before. So let's go back. This is what you really should keep in mind for speedy modeling. If I have like the heating here, I mean I could do like these gaps here and go back to polygons like this, but it used to be like that. If I don't have any polygons selected and I just use edge mode, I open that up and I go back to polygons. Okay, that's new with Cinema. It kind of automatically selects the right thing for me. Okay, so please forget this tip. Now they solved this for us. That tip doesn't apply anymore. So all we need to do is select the edges, press MS, create our tiny little gaps, go to polygon mode, and now we press UI for inverting our selection, so all the little gaps are selected, and delete them. So now you press UI again and you have the big pieces again, and then you can extrude them. But be aware that you use a proper value, and there are backsides to be created. So we just click create caps, and that way we have backsides as well. Without those caps on the back, it wouldn't be a closed model. And if you zoom in to the gaps, you can see it worked now. We have actually like two separate objects, at least in the physical way. In our hierarchy, they are still one object, but now they look like they are separated. And for nice architectural renderings, you need well-defined gaps, as I said. By the way, if like the ceiling is in the way, you can click on them twice here, or another trick, just hold down Alt before you click in those guys, and you can change those buttons like in one go. What I always do after having created gaps is bevel those guys, like all the edges. At least if I have like a primitive box shape, I can just select all the edges and go to MS, go real close, and just make something tiny like 0.1. That might not be visible from far away, so let's check. Well, that's too tiny, so let's go 0.2 and render them out again. And those little highlights are very valuable for our rendering later on. You can also experiment with some subdivisions, but yeah, this looks even better but creates more geometry. So let's do it like this. This is for our heating. And I'm not going to detail this any further because it's not really in our scene. But what's more interesting is to work on with the windows. Maybe the heating is located a bit too low. So if I wanted to change this kind of thing, I could lift it up like the whole thing, a few centimeters, but yeah, we'll see that later on. Now for the outer wall, I select all the windows, and with I can make an extrusion inwards. If I uncheck preserve groups, I can do so for each window separately, and always use straight numbers like 4. And what you should keep in mind before you work on is that this piece is still connected to the windows. So if you want to have an easy life, just go back and split this selected geometry up now, like using UP, and delete. And now we have a remaining object which is called windows. Now I select all the polygons again, go inwards by say 4 units, and yeah, that's all I did. We can extrude them outwards, but now we have to uncheck create caps, and I always go in, I only go inwards like a few centimeters, so you can just tell these are windows, maybe like 4 units, but that's about it. And then I press UP and delete again to have glass. So let's go on with this game and copy paste using Command C, Command V, and this kind of guy is giving shadow. It's kind of shadowing our windows, and you would just go back to object mode, this guy, and move them outwards slightly. So let's just move this inwards quickly and just move them outwards so they are kind of floating in the air now. I put them outwards 20 centimeters, but we can still move them later on. And now you can see that it's possible to work on multiple polygons at once, even they are separated. Like I just go to edge mode and run across all the long edges, and now I use MF cut through there. Then I go UI MS to bevel them without any subdivisions, pressing polygons, inverting and deleting those polygons. So this might be an element you would do on the outside, like this kind of thing, going to all edges and beveling those guys. But in this case, I want something lighter, so I go back until the state where I had the tiny bits deleted. And now what I need is only the lower edges like this guy and so on.